Hi, my name's Carly Holmes and I'm the English lead here at Exampro. I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes or so showing you the resources that are currently available in English Highlights, describing a couple of exciting additions that we will release during the next academic year, and offering you a few suggestions of ways that you might want to use Exampro English Highlights for CPD and in the classroom, as it is extremely useful in both contexts. First of all though, you need to log in. And once you've done that, this screen, called the Gatekeeper, will open. You may only see GCSE English Highlights, but some of you will see a screen that's more like mine, because your school has multiple subscriptions. Where that's the case, you may find it easier to select English from the tabs on the left-hand side of the screen, which will isolate GCSE English Highlights. On the Welcome screen, you will see all of the available documents in chronological order from bottom to top, with the guidance at the very bottom of the screen. This PDF focuses on the ways in which you might want to use English Highlights and is updated regularly using teacher feedback, so it would be a really useful follow-up to this video. Also, remember to revisit it whenever you're struggling for inspiration. Okay, just above the Guidance tab, you will find two sets of legacy papers, because, though we all know that the demands of the exams change, reading and writing skills remain constant, so we hope that these are still useful to you. Second and third from the top are responses to the Specimen Assessment Materials, or SAMS 1, for both literature and language. At the top is Language SAMS 4, which was the AQA mock. Many teachers and students benefited from entering the marks from these papers into our mock mark entry and reporting system called Merit, then using these reports alongside the exemplars in Highlights to focus revision sessions, target interventions, and optimise progress and attainment. We are looking forward to many more schools benefiting from using Merit this academic year. We are also excited about the resources that we plan to release over the upcoming year. These include the standardisation materials for the Summer 2017 exam series for both GCSE English Language and English Literature, annotated by AQA's chief examiners, which should be available in the autumn term. For another project, called English Progress, we've been tracking 10 students from the end of Year 9 to the end of Year 11. These students took their final exams in June, and we will be able to include these papers and grades in our resources. We will also share biographies written by their teachers at the beginning and end of their GCSEs, describing their targets, predictions, strengths, weaknesses, and much more, essentially a flavour of the myriad of influences that build every student's final grades. We hope that you will not only find the range of attainment and progress arcs interesting, but also perhaps be able to identify students in your classes who mirror one or more of our candidates. The first instalment of English Progress will be released in the autumn term, and the outcomes of the June exams will be added in the spring term. Now I'm going to use SAMS Paper 4, Paper 1, to demonstrate how Highlights works. I'll use question 4, as there is a little bit more to it. In the middle, obviously, you've got the exemplars. On the left-hand side are the questions, and just inside the window are the numbered responses, with the option to show all. At the top of the screen, you've got the question and the applicable mark scheme. Then, on the right-hand side, you've got the framework, which focuses on the wording and demands of the mark scheme rather than the assessment objectives, with the comment box underneath. I can hide or reveal as many of the elements of the framework as I want. Then I click on a highlight to reveal the labelled comment that applies to it. Every single comment is labelled, and most comments follow the wording of the mark scheme exactly. Where they don't, the detail provides extra information about the strengths and/or weaknesses of the particular selection. Furthermore, if I select a highlight like this one, you may notice that the other two highlights become darker too. This means that the comment and level apply to all three sections. These examples help to distinguish between responses that just reach a level, are securely within it, and those are at the top of the level and even knocking on the door of the one above. At the bottom of each exemplar is the summative comment, which, where applicable, includes what went well and even better if. The definitive mark or marks, which all students crave and all teachers need, is there for you too. Hopefully, once you've explored the exemplar fully with your colleagues and or your students, the mark will be obvious, or at the very least, fully and easily justifiable. For the last few minutes, I'm going to focus on how you might use these features with colleagues and students. For CPD, you will obviously choose tasks that suit your colleagues' knowledge and experience. I might ask my colleagues to rank the exemplars to boost their confidence before asking them to mark them. When the marking is done, either prior to or during a CPD session, I would ask everyone to compare their marks and spend some time discussing them. I would then reveal the summative comments for each and again discuss whether any adjustments should be made. Finally, I would reveal the marks and discuss the level of accuracy, where and why there was variance, and so on. Before moderation, and with less experienced or less confident colleagues, I might also ask them to rank responses to different questions that attain the same level. The responses are randomly assorted, so for question 4, response 1 is at level 3, but for question 2, it's response 3, for question 3, it's response 2, and for question 5, it's response 4. Now, where questions are quite diverse, they can position them according to whether they're at the top, middle, or bottom of the level. When they are more confident, they could assign definitive marks. I would also use the exemplars to develop colleagues' understanding of the types of questions, the wording of questions, and successful and unsuccessful approaches, and what is really required to access each level in the mark scheme. Then, we would plan activities to strengthen each skill, so colleagues can use a 5-minute activity at the beginning of a lesson, or opt for a lesson-long exploration of each one, according to their class's needs. In the classroom, if I was introducing these exemplars for the first time, I would print the blank exemplars and get the students to rank them. Due to the nature of the highlights, which work like transparent overlays, you can't print the annotated versions. This would somewhat defeat the point of the tool anyway. You can amend the exemplars before you print them, but you don't need to worry about reordering them because, as you saw a minute ago, they're all randomly assorted, so your students will have to consider each one before assigning its rank. Obviously, a question and answer session on or discussion of the actual ranking would be very fruitful. Then I might ask them to do one of many things, depending on the type of students that I have. Lower ability students could give simple reasons for the ranking using the wording of the framework, such as response 1 is better than response 2 because there's a more detailed comment about the writer's methods. Other students might be able to assign levels to the responses, which might be quite easy if and when they realise that the responses cover all 4 levels, and suggest whether they're at the top, middle, or bottom of the level. Some students could work in groups, with one person responsible for one element of the framework, and identify where the skill is shown in each response, by either highlighting or annotating. Once they've done this, they could assign levels to each of their selections, which will clearly be more interesting and challenging for the top 2 responses, and be able to justify their assertions when challenged. They could even suggest a mark and summative comment, with what went well and even better if, for the responses to really show their understanding. These activities could be extended to written evaluations or presentations of their judgments, with support from the examiner's version where necessary. In later lessons, I would get students to use the responses to improve their own work. I might give them the feedback on the responses at the same level as theirs, give them the response at the level above, or for lower ability students, isolate words and phrases in the responses that frame more sophisticated comments. In revision and feedback sessions, I might use the activities that I've planned with my colleagues to focus on a specific element of the framework that students are struggling with. They might compare how the skill is shown in each of the responses, the language and phrasing the candidates used, the detail and the complexity of the comments, and so on, and practice articulating the demands of the mark scheme and portray this understanding by improving their own work, so it's at the top of their current level or moving into the one above. However you use the exemplars, I would hold the definitive marks back for as long as possible, so the students develop their understanding through the guidance provided by the comments, rather than being propelled towards a conclusion by a number. I hope you have found this information useful, and this video has given you some ideas for your CPD sessions and lessons. Remember to look at the guidance PDF on the welcome screen for more suggestions. Thank you.